Good evening and welcome to today's edition of Keeping It Real with Rammona. I have a super special guest with me today. Her name is Tavleen. Hi, Tavleen.
Hi, Rammona.
How are you
Nice to be
doing?
here. Good, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. It's so good to have you here today, and thank you for taking out the time and being with us today. So
My
I'm
pleasure.
actually very excited because I've known Tavleen since I've been a baby. I think she was my first friend. She's 6 months older than me, and I think she was probably my first friend that I had. So she's got a very special place in my heart. And Tavleen's
Likewise.
been doing some interesting work over the last few years, and I'm really, excited that we have a chance today to talk about it. So, Tavleen, I'm going to just take a couple of minutes and just introduce you briefly in terms of the work that you've been doing. So, Tavleen's actually the director of a beautiful resort where she is right now. It's Jim's Jungle Retreat in Corbett. So, she's, basically with her brother Daleep. They've been, running that, and it's an absolutely gorgeous, very well taken care of, and there's a lot of hospitality that one can find. That's absolutely a gorgeous place to be. The food is amazing as well. So she's actually lived with and been very connected to nature for her whole life. And she's got a deep respect for nature, which actually includes her inner transformation. So that is something that we're going to be talking about, how that inner transformation is actually what leads to changes on the outside. That is a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. So this journey actually had led Tavleen to realize that her skin and her hair were not happy, and she decided that instead of experimenting with different chemicals, trying this, trying that, to actually look inwards and see what was it that could be changed, to really go back to the roots, back to nature. So that is when she decided to actually form and found a company called Balveda, and basically it is based on Ayurvedic formulations. And Tavleen says that from the first applications, the first time you apply one of the products, they actually start showing amazing results. So the products of Balveda actually homage to people who are looking for change, not only on the outside but also on the inside, because there's a deep connect, I think, in Ayurveda. Um, she's going to talk a little bit more about that because she's the expert in this area. But from what I know, there is a deep connect on what's going on in the inside and what shows up on the outside. So the beauty is that when you realize herbs and not most chemicals can fix hair and skin, then you begin to notice a pattern. That's what Tavleen has shared. And since everything is from the natural world, so our well-being should also come from that. And Balveda, which is her company that she's founded, can actually help us with that. So, but Tavleen really believes that for that inner glow, which radiates outside, only strong life force, that energy that we talk about, the different terms that are used for it. Some call it chi, some call it prana, but basically the inner life force, that has to be really strong, and that is when it radiates onto the outside. So inner transformation is basically what leads to the outer transformation, and for that we have products from Balveda which can really help us. They're all based on they're nature-based products, and like I said, it's a very special edition here today. Tavleen, like I said, I'm really happy that you're here. So my mom is watching this, and she says, "Hello, darling Tavleen. Lovely to see you on the show." Yeah, so that is the first comment for this evening. So Tavleen, I would love to know, perhaps we can start with talking about, Jim's Jungle Retreat, because that is based out in nature. Like I said, it's a gorgeous place. Maybe you can share with us what led your family to establish it, and how it's been, running that for these, I don't know how many years it's been since you founded that.
We've been coming to Corbett since we were little kids. My parents have been coming here before that. So
Hmm.
it started off as a hobby for my father. He
Okay.
found this piece of land by the forest, and
Uh-huh.
he made, like, back in the day we used to have these little forest rest house. So that's what he did in the beginning. And then when
Okay.
Daleep came back from New York, he was like, you know what,
Yeah.
Papa, we need to sort of get this going. So then we came and did the
Okay.
interiors, sorted it out a little bit more, and it's a lovely place. We have a lot of repeat
Yeah.
customers only because of the love the way it's done,
Yeah.
and we're not manicured and pedicured gardens and things like that. We left it as natural as possible.
Yeah.
So we have tigers coming close to the property, and people have seen leopards in the property. So I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. It is a
That's how it
beautiful
started out.
space. Wonderful. Good to know.
Yeah.
And, Tavleen, like we just talked a little bit about Balveda. And, I shared very
Mhm.
briefly in terms of why it is that you went ahead and founded this particular company and, the different products that, are available through you. That is something, I'd like to maybe talk a little bit more in detail about. But I'd love to first start with maybe the inner transformation, that part of the journey that I mentioned, and you've spoken to me about that as well. What is it that really led you, in your own words, to form Balveda, and that inner transformation journey for you? What are the different aspects of it that or what are the things that were involved in that for you?
When you realize that you have been led to believe that chemicals will sort you out and there's a chemical for everything, you
Yeah.
believe that, you follow that. And when you follow that, you realize again that that's not true.
Hmm.
And when you go looking, where do you look? If chemicals don't work, what else? Then you go back to
Yeah.
nature, and then we've all heard stories, we've all grown up with some paste or something happening.
Yeah.
So I tried many formulations for
Okay.
quite a long time. And
Okay.
Ayurveda is so vast. It's so vast. Not everything works for you. Not everything shows results as quickly as you'd want it to. But these formulations, they are amazing. They do work. They do the job. They do it as quickly as they say they do. And
Uh-huh.
so this, so if it worked for me and it started helping me out, I
Yeah.
wanted people to also experience that. I
Okay.
mean, skin and hair is the first thing that people see, and that's what sort of presents us to the world. And if that is shaky, then, you can keep saying have confidence, but it shakes you up a little bit. So if we can help
Sure.
with that little bit, sort that out for you a little bit, um, you know, and when you apply Ayurvedic products, it's not like a shampoo or a soap. You sort of do it without realizing what you're doing. There's no awareness there. But with Ayurvedic products, you have to sort of mix it. Then you have to apply it on your body. So self care, you
Yeah.
start getting into self care. And once you start falling into that, other things open up. Is there a possibility? I mean, could it be possible that we can move from to wellness minus doctors and minus medicines? And so then one thing led to another. And then it
Hmm.
was finding this most amazing book,
Okay.
which is written by Naveen Varshnya, and it's
Uh-huh.
called Meditation the Cure.
Okay.
And so started reading that book, and
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, because of this COVID, they brought it on digitally. They brought it
Okay.
onto the internet, their course. It would have been
Okay.
impossible to sort of zip around the countryside, leave everything behind, and go. But it was online, and
Uh-huh.
I joined the course.
Uh-huh.
And from the get go,
Yeah.
we are aware of what we are aware of. If you're not aware of it, there's
Yeah.
there's no way that you can function from there.
That's
So
true.
Naveen ji has sort of taken everything to such a minute detail that
Uh-huh.
when you listen to him speak, and he sort of uh, talks about things that, for example, I mean, a lot of us function from guilt. We don't even
Sure.
realize that. A lot of us
Sure.
function from shame. We don't
Yeah.
realize that. We don't
Yeah.
know what it does, how we behave with others, how we behave with ourselves. So he broke down everything. There is no place
Uh-huh.
to hide. So if anybody was looking, and wellness really comes from being honest with yourself.
That's
You
true.
cannot,
Yeah.
if you're going to, and we are, unfortunately, we are all in the habit of lying to ourselves. Not because it's just that, chot lage koi baat nahi, ro mat, be brave. These are
Yeah.
little things that we've all grown up listening to.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really wrong with that.
Hmm.
But what it does to people is that then you start sort of avoiding your emotions. It starts from there. You start
Yeah.
avoiding your emotions and you start placating yourself. And
Yeah.
then from there grows so much more. We placate ourselves, we say, koi baat nahi, never mind.
Hmm.
And then that is what starts sitting in a human being and it grows and it grows and grows. And it grows to an extent where we start lying to ourselves and we don't know what reality is anymore. So it's the breakdown of, it's the perception deception. He breaks down the perception deception.
Okay.
And that's where, yeah, so that's where it is, where it stems from.
Okay. So you did this course, and during the course, you kind of so Balveda, you formed Balveda after you completed this course, or you'd already kind of
No,
set that up? Yeah.
Balveda happened first. First
Okay.
Balveda happened.
First
And
Balveda
that
happened. Yeah.
that first Balveda happened. So that's it.
Correct.
So when you realize that there is a change, something can change other than
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So it started from there, and
Okay.
it's a very clever course because it does a 21-day thing, and in
Okay.
21 days, patterns are
Yeah.
set.
You can change a habit. That's
You
what it
can
said.
change a
It
habit.
takes 21 days to change a habit. Yeah.
So
Okay.
each of these courses, Chetna, Vedna, Manthan, they're 21 days each,
Okay.
and they take you through the journey of your life. I mean,
Okay.
if you're
Share
brave
more
enough to
about this.
do
I
it,
mean, it sounds interesting. The four parts that you talked about, the four courses. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
yeah, there are three parts to it. First
Uh-huh.
is Chetna, which is to
Okay.
bring things to your awareness. This is also, and the technique that he has taught us, Naveenji has
Uh-huh.
taught us.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to now change your life. Now you have to
Okay.
do something so huge. These are very, very simple techniques that yogis
Uh-huh.
used to use.
Okay.
So he has brought out from our culture what we have forgotten and
Mm-hmm.
presented the simplest form of it. And
Okay.
I believe in simplicity. So even Balveda, they are very simple products.
Uh-huh.
And that's what led me to it. The simplicity of it worked for me. And then
Yeah.
when this course was presented, the simplicity of it worked for me again. I think
Okay.
there when something is complex, uh,
Yeah.
I, I think it's more about confusion than anything else. Then, when something is simple, we tend not to we tend to think that it might not work. It's very simple, but
Yeah.
it is the simple things in life. If we
Hmm.
just observe them, it is the really simple small things. So that's how he does the chetna, which is bringing into your awareness things about yourself that you didn't realize you had forgotten.
Yeah.
Then then Vedana is when um, you go deeper into your practice of what
Okay.
the meditation is, of what the
All right.
process is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Manthan is the real churning. Uh, and he talks about, and he makes you look into areas that we've ignored. We don't look into our dark, we don't look into our fantasy, we don't even know what that is. So that's what he does. The simplicity of it from one step to the other. That's what it was for
Uh-huh.
me with my product.
Okay.
And there are only four products because I don't believe in, again, complicating life. And of
Yeah.
course, in your 20s, we've started with, use this for this, use that for that. None of them worked. Um, so all these products are your base products. They work for you. And after that, you use what you want to do. But these
Okay.
base products work. If you want soft skin, Queen Secret will give you soft skin. If you
Okay.
want to start restoring your hair, then Neela will do that for you.
Okay.
So if you want
Okay.
a face mask, the face mask that really sort of tightens, then River God will do that for you. And
Okay.
if you want something gentle, and these, all children can use this. My children use it.
Okay.
My son doesn't have dandruff, the
Uh-huh.
little danas that come out. He doesn't
Yeah.
have that.
Okay.
Um, so simplicity again, keeping it simple.
Wonderful. So, you talked about the products. Are those the four products, or you were just talking about different products? What are the
Those,
base products that
these are the
Balveda has? Okay, those are
these
the
are the
ones.
four products. These are,
Those are the four products. Okay, all
yeah.
right, great. And Tavleen, I know that it's been a journey in the sense that all of us at different points of our life, work on that inner transformation. At least I hope most of us do that.
We are
And
all looking.
it starts with different it could be a trigger for someone that leads you to that journey, but it's not always a trigger for someone, right? Sometimes it's just like some people might feel that there is something more to life, and that's when they go about that journey. So it's different reasons for different people. But I know that in the past you've also you know been working on that inner transformation. So I'd love to know a little bit more about that. That what are the different things that in the past have worked for you? What are the things that you tried, and they've been a contribution to where you are today?
Yeah. Unfortunately, people, well, most of us go looking for something only when something starts going wrong.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we are such
that's
great
true.
survivors. We're such great survivors. We'll go through it, and
Yeah,
women are such great survivors. Uh,
true.
but it totally depends on when a person says, enough is enough.
Yeah,
I rather be. I choose happiness because everything is a choice. You can choose to
yeah,
suffer. You can choose to make a happy life.
yeah,
And so one of the what sort of start, also to believe the magic in life. We aren't taught the magic in life. We're so sort of mechanical and chemical as people now.
yeah.
There is this Dr. Trupti Jain. She lives
Okay.
in Mumbai,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
something on Facebook, past life regression. Oh, okay, past
yeah,
life regression. I'll check this out. So I went and did a 3-day
yeah.
course with her. Didn't know what to
Okay.
expect. And of course,
Yeah,
you go with a little bit of, "Ugh, it's not going to happen for me," and it doesn't really happen. But
yeah.
she knows what she's doing. And the first day, she takes you through your meditation, and
Uh-huh.
you see something, but you're like, I could have imagined it. So that's one of the
Yeah.
things she addressed. She said, "How many of you imagined yourselves being queens and kings?" Nobody raised their hand. So she said, and exactly, I am not telling you, you are not looking at what you want to be, you're looking at what you are. And
Yeah.
she gave a very interesting um, story. There was this lady who she had done this regression with. It was a private
Uh-huh.
session. And
Okay.
she was a very beautiful woman, and apparently she had international fame. She was this actress and dancer and things like that. And she
Yeah.
walked in with this real, I am the bee's knees. And
Yeah.
she lay down for her regression. And she asked her, her process. So what do you see? Where are you?
Yeah.
And that lady saw herself as a very poor woman in
Mm.
another time.
Yeah.
So, what this life is and what
Mm.
another life was,
Yeah.
they're completely different. And each soul
Sure.
has a journey. And if
Yeah.
we can learn what we are here to learn,
Yeah.
then we've moved to the next level.
Mm.
And
True.
there was this man who was afraid of water, and he then saw why he was so afraid of water. People who can't explain phobias. So I mean, there's a lot of magic in this world. We
Yeah.
just
We
don't
just
know
have
how
to
to
be
see it.
open. Yeah, we have to be open
Yeah.
to receiving the magic. And I think you're right, because I think in the old days, like people were a lot more connected to nature. Like there is magic in nature, right? As well.
Yeah,
And
and even in our parents, they pass this information down. Grandparents pass this information down. We learnt these things,
yeah.
but I mean, the education system was changed and the invasions and things just got jumbled up, lost.
Yeah. Yeah. So, uh, what would you say to people who, normally would stick to the traditional route? I mean, I know it's different for everyone. I mean, there is a place for, uh, medical science and, for doctors and all of
Absolutely,
that.
absolutely,
But
absolutely.
some people might be in a place where they know that if that particular treatment or whatever it is that they're trying isn't working for them, but sometimes, especially in a country like India, there's a lot of family involvement in a lot of things, and someone may be seeking, something that's alternative, but a lot of the family members, for example, might be like, no, stick to the traditional route, and this is what you need to do. What would you say for, to people like that who know that there's something else possible, but just don't know how to go about finding it?
The thing is that once we realize that, for example, skin is an organ, and
Yeah.
that whatever you put on your skin is absorbed by the body,
Yeah.
and that your liver
Yeah.
is responsible for the job it does. But if you're going to be putting rubbish chemicals on your skin, it's going to go and affect your liver in a small way, but it starts somewhere. And then there
Correct.
comes a point when your liver can't sort of break up the toxins and release them from your body.
Yeah.
So it's important to sort of start becoming aware of your body. Start becoming aware of your body, and it doesn't take time. You know what you are doing when you know when something is not working.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
So pay attention to that. Intuition is important. Listening to yourself is important, and it sort of starts grounding you as well when you start listening to yourself. Take advice. There's
Yeah.
a lot of advice out there, but eventually, and
Yeah.
that allow that to grow.
Yeah, I think that is a big issue for so many people, that trusting your own instinct or whatever, it is, like, you're knowing, having faith in that, trusting that completely. I think we as a society have become so used to someone else telling us, yeah, this is what, it is right for you,
Yeah,
or this is what doesn't work for you. That connect with yourself, with your own inner knowing, is diminishing over time. And it's sad, but like, there are people who are seeking that again and getting reconnected to it. But I
a
see
lot
that
of
there's
people
so,
are.
yeah, now I think, things are
A
changing,
lot of people. Yeah.
yeah, the earth is in a transition, and folks are changing as well. But there's still a lot of people who might still be on that journey, of inner transformation, but that conviction that what I know is right for me, a lot of people
Mm.
don't have that. So what are the different ways? I mean, is there something you can share? I mean, people talk about different things, like some people say that physical exercise, for example, helps you, enhance that quality, or yoga does. What are the things that you feel can help, in your experience, what's helped you with that?
The thing is that one has tried many things over the years.
Yeah.
I've done yoga, I have been doing yoga, but then who teaches you yoga properly? Because your breath has to be involved,
Yeah.
but nobody's teaching you how your breath has to be involved in yoga. So it's a moot point. It's not really working. You go to a gym, you sort of exercise your body, but there is no connection. It's not connecting you within again. Um,
Okay.
Breath is the only thing. If anybody wants wellness, you have to learn to connect to your breath. And how you connect to your breath, get the book, Meditation the Cure by Naveen Varshnaya. It's
Okay.
it's the only thing it's really the only thing that's worked. I mean, it's this course with him and his
Yeah.
coaches and that
Yeah.
amazing group of people. It was a
Yeah.
culmination of everything that I had heard, been through,
Ah.
experienced, read.
Okay.
It was a
Yeah.
culmination of the simplicity of what he does. It's taking out
Hmm.
the noise, it's taking out the extras you don't need.
Okay.
So it's about going back to your breath. Everything is breath. And you were saying earlier on how people don't have faith in themselves
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I want to say this, and and one of the reasons is that when a child is born, we don't trust the child's instinct. If a child wants to move in a particular direction, instead of clearing that space up for the child, we'll say, "Oh, don't go there." We
Yeah.
won't let that child explore it. So that initial stage of a child learning to gain confidence in itself, we, out of being overprotective,
Yeah.
we start sort of so being aware as even as a parent, as a new parent,
Yeah.
these are things again all lost to us. I mean, children
Yeah.
don't play in dirt anymore. You play in
Yeah.
mud, you're going to build your
Yeah.
immunity up, yeah.
Yeah.
You go out
True.
in the sun, you're going to build your immunity.
True. That reminds me. I mean, as a kid, me and my
We were
sisters,
always
when it
out.
would rain, yeah, we spent so much time outdoors. Even us together.
Yeah, yeah.
When we spent time
And that
together. But
fountain.
this just reminded me of something like me and my sisters would spend a lot of time outdoors. But what I was talking about was when it would rain, we would
Mm.
actually go out in the rain and we dance in the rain. We
Yes.
we do crazy things like we'd have
Oh.
buckets, which we would get from our house. We'd fill it up with the rainwater and then we'd throw the rainwater on each other. Of course, we'd go through,
Yeah.
building the paper boats and all, but that was a small part of it. The main part was, dancing in the rain and filling up different buckets and seeing who could fill more water and throw it on the other. Though it was pouring, but it was more exciting to fill the water and throw it. And now, I mean, there are different reasons for it. I understand, but that is not something that normally most kids are permitted. And there is a lot of talk about the fact that now there's so much pollution. Even the rainwater that falls has a lot of acids in it or other sort of wastes which are going to harm you and stuff like
Correct.
that.
Mm. Mm.
But I mean, I totally get what you're saying, that playing in the mud. I mean, my favorite memories, one of my favorite
Mm.
memories, in fact, my mother was reminding me about the other day. I don't know what we were talking about, but my niece would always have like these perpetual, like throughout the year, there was no time during the year that my knees were not injured. There was
Yeah.
always injury with pus
Great.
and scrapes, because I was out there climbing trees and falling off trees and stuff like that. And now
Yeah.
it's all about be safe. No, don't do this, don't do that. So I totally get what you're saying. uh, Isha says it's true, listening to yourself and your intuition, it helps you to go a long way.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think we are the ones who are responsible for, that disconnect that we are creating for future generations, where, when we're not letting kids follow. I mean, of course, we have to do things in a safe manner. I understand that. But yeah, we're not letting kids kind of explore the world, the way we perhaps, and, our parents' generations, grandparents' generation had those abilities, But unfortunately, Tavleen, there's another side to the whole thing. And I wanted to ask you what you feel about it, because I know as a kid, one could go biking in the neighborhood. Times are such that, I mean, a lot of people feel very apprehensive sending a kid out on a bike. What is your thought process around that? Because, there is a lot more crime, there's a lot more violence. And I'm not saying that it wasn't there before, but do you think it's increased, or people just have more awareness of it? What are your thoughts around that?
I think everything has increased. Fear has increased. Destruction has increased. Anger has increased. Everything has increased. And when these things increase, it all comes down to childhood. So if a child, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about people who commit crimes and go
Yes,
around doing what
yes,
they're doing.
yes.
If people have been removed from their villages, because if you're looking for a job and you want to look after your family,
Yeah,
then you come into the few towns and cities. So the
yeah,
overcrowding. So when there's going to be overcrowding, a mother is working, father is working, and there's a single parent, who's looking after that kid? So, if there is nobody there to give the gyan, to
hmm,
make a child aware of it, then the
yeah,
child is going to grow up with whatever it sees around it.
hmm,
So everything has changed. Everything has changed. But people who can retain their roots, people who have grandparents, and they have environment in which a child can safely explore himself, herself.
Yeah.
I mean, they're blessed to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But
That's
just
true.
because of the fear there is,
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we also start becoming fear mongers. You do what you
Yeah.
can for your kid, now.
Huh. True. And I think it's not just the kid, it's us also, right? Us as in adults, right? Because so many things, especially with the whole pandemic, are now fear based. There may be certain things you want to still do, but because there's a lot of fear, and in some cases it's justified because, there are things that are happening which, seemingly seem that they're out of your control. But again, I think it's about that awareness that you talked about earlier. Because if you are connected to your awareness, then in a lot of situations, that's where you need to go. You need to check with yourself, with your awareness, with your knowing that is this something that is going to work for me? Should I go ahead and do this? But again, it's about not having trust in that, right? Always seeking that external validation or someone else, to tell you that, yeah, this is okay for you to do or this is not okay for you to do. So I think they're interconnected because, the more we work on allowing that awareness in and, accepting that we are aware and trusting ourselves, a lot of different situations can be handled in a different way. What do you, I mean, that's what I personally think. What do you think?
Yeah, there have been some instances where a COVID positive patient, after observing his breath the way Naveen ji teaches you how to do it,
Yeah,
and it's more about practice. It's not really, he doesn't teach you, he tells you, and then you have to practice it. It's really
sure.
that simple. But
Yeah,
from positive, they've gone to negative. And there are various
amazing.
other diseases that,
Yeah,
people who've been in ICUs but
yeah,
are awake. So
yeah.
he's taken them from dangerous situations and taken them out of these dangerous situations by just observing your breath. That's how powerful breath is. So if we
Wow.
learn how to observe our breath, become aware of it,
Yeah,
there will be no issue in your mind. There will be no issue in your body.
yeah.
Someone like me who needed vitamins, I had chikungunya several years ago, but I had aches and pains in my body, and I needed
Okay.
to have my vitamins, otherwise pains would start. I finished
Sure.
this course. Well, the first course that I started, and in the middle of it, I realized that I don't need anything. Your body heals itself.
Yeah.
So,
If you allow
so
it to. Yes.
but no, but if you know how to observe your breath, if you know
Yeah.
how to observe your breath, the electromagnetic fields in your body start functioning, behaving properly, and then it heals itself. We are healers, all of us are healers,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but it's been all lost to us. But there are
Yeah.
people, gurus like Naveen Varshnya, and various other people who are bringing back this information, who are giving it back to us.
Yeah.
You know.
True, true. So I totally agree with you on that because, I've been working in the healing space for the last few years. And I mean, that is a fact that all of us have healing abilities. And, I understand, from your perspective, it is the breath. And I'm not saying that that is not what can change or doesn't work. But I also know that there are different things that might work for different people, you know so it could be, something else as well, along with maybe breath that, helps you change things for
For sure,
yourself.
for sure.
Yeah, you've got to explore and see what works for you. So, I mean, I totally, am in sync with that because, the body has these natural healing capacities and capabilities. It's just what is it that is going to ignite that for you. So like you said, for you it's been, this breath work that's been life changing. And it
Um,
could be that, it could be something else, for someone, or it could be a combination of different things that works well. But yeah, we've got to explore, we've got to, understand that what it is that can help us reach that space where, the body is already having those abilities, it has the ability to heal, but maybe that little ignition is required, for you to go into
we
that
all
place
need
where.
it. We all need a trigger, and we all need a helping hand. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the thing is that if we believe in the soul journey theory, which
Yeah.
fortunately, because we are born in India, we've heard
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Almost all of us have heard, Pichla Janam and all that.
Yeah. 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 Past life.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, if we go with that theory,
Yeah.
the understanding is that we move from one life to the other, and with us
Yeah.
move our I mean, I'll use these words loosely, but with them
Yeah.
move certain, what are they called? But, patterns or impressions or impressions.
Sure. Yeah.
Each soul is born with its impression, and each soul chooses its mother's womb
Yeah.
because she is the one who will best give that soul its experiences, which will allow that soul to either learn from it or take another life, not a problem, to learn from it again, not a problem.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
already come with certain impressions. Um, so we do need healing from outside as well. We
Yeah.
need all that support. But
Sure.
eventually, once all the support is given and we feel strong enough,
Yeah.
we have to come back to our breath, because breath basically is when somebody's angry and they
Yeah.
walk, you'll see that they're walking differently. If somebody has just meditated and they walk, you'll see that they're walking differently, because
True.
it's the way we are breathing. We breathe from here, or we breathe from here, or we breathe from here. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I didn't know that you have to breathe from here,
Yeah.
you know but to
Yeah.
not now. I mean, this fortunately happened earlier on, but
Yeah.
that also I chanced upon, you know
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just the fact that we all have very shallow breathing, we don't realize we have shallow breathing. And then
Yeah.
from that shallow breathing comes anxiety.
Yeah.
We don't realize where that anxiety is coming from. It just one thing perpetuates another, and the body just starts falling into a spiral. So breath is very important. No matter what practices you have, but if
Hmm.
you can observe your breaths for even 5 minutes in a day,
Yeah.
any of the practices that you're doing, it just enhances everything, because
Sure.
your ability to observe that,
Yeah.
it's opened up. So if you are
Yeah.
giving me a healing, but if I'm only going to depend on you to heal me and not open myself up to your healing, I've just made your job really tough. But if I'm
Yeah.
open to what you're doing for me,
Yeah. Not only have
sorry,
you
yeah.
made it tough, then you're also not receiving the full impact of what the healing can create for you. So
Yeah,
I totally get that. I totally get that. So, as far as Balveda goes, uh, I know that you've got, these wonderful products out there, and
it's my
you
shraddha
have,
to people. Yeah,
sorry?
it's my shraddha to people. I mean, suffering from bad hair and skin, it messes with people. And that's the last thing somebody should really be worrying about. There are so many internal things we have to take care of, and then all
Yeah,
that. So, I mean,
yeah,
use these things, get your healing done, get yourself on board, and move towards wellness and move towards happiness, because it's all a choice. You can choose to suffer, you can choose to make a happy life.
that's true.
You know that.
Yeah,
We're
I
already
agree.
sitting there like little dead ducks. We choose to be happy. We choose to look at, do good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I have to tell you something here because, I am not familiar with, the course that you've done or the book you've read. Thank you so much for
Mm,
sharing a little bit in detail about that. But, like, there is another, there are different modalities over the years I've learned and I practice. And one of the
mm,
modalities that I practice, access consciousness, says
mm.
exactly what you said, that happiness is a choice, like everything is a choice. It's interesting that a lot of not maybe not everything, but many practices actually come down to a few basic things, and they talk about similar
Just
things,
like
similar
every religion,
philosophies. Yeah. True,
just like
true.
every religion, eventually says those things, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Okay.
people need, but that's the beauty of it, I may need to go through you because that's how it works for me. Somebody else
Yeah,
might need to go through another process. The beauty is that there
absolutely,
are many things available, but start making
absolutely.
the effort to go experience them. Because if you don't experience them, you have to find that one thing that you experience the magic of, and then suddenly,
Yeah,
like, yes, these things work.
yeah. True. So there's a question here. How does one buy your products?
The website, I think you've written it down on the
Yeah,
balvedaliving.com.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've shared it. So the products are available online. And what I was going to say was that, Tavleen actually has a lot of repeat customers, I believe, that once, people have tried certain products and they work for them, she shared with me that, she has a lot of repeat business coming in
Yeah.
because, what I loved is, what when you talked about keeping things simple and, also about the products that they are simple products in the sense they're based on Ayurvedic principles, and they may not have the most exotic sounding I don't know ingredients in them, but they're products that work, and they're products that connect you back to nature. So Tavleen also has an Instagram page, for Balveda, which I've shared on the post as well. So, is that also a possibility for people to DM you on Instagram if they're interested in some
Yes,
of the products?
absolutely, absolutely. It would
Okay,
be my
all
honor,
right.
yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, thank you, Tavleen, so much for being here today, for taking time out and
Thank you, Ramona. It's been a
talking to
pleasure.
us about Balveda and about that inner transformation. Maybe in the last couple of minutes, before I let you go, we can talk a little bit more about that inner transformation that leads to the outer transformation. So if you can, share some thoughts around that, I'd appreciate it.
Listen, if my body is now healing itself,
Yeah,
then the inner transformation is coming out. It's as simple as that. Once your breath is corrected, the body does not have a choice but to heal. It's the law of nature.
yeah.
That's really all there is to it.
Wonderful. Again, very simply put, but beautifully put. So thank you, Tavleen, so much for being here today
Thank
and
you, Ramona.
sharing, your journey with us. And I wish you a lot of success with Balveda. And I'm definitely
Thank
going to
you.
try out some of the products. I'm sure that they're
Let me send
absolutely
it to you.
incredible.
I will send it to you first.
All right.
My gift to
Look
you.
forward. Look forward to
Yes,
that. Okay,
lovely.
Tavleen, take care. Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.